Hello everybody, this is Liam, and today this will be my first video for this channel. And today I'm going to be showing you how to defeat Duke Fishron with the 3 different class types: Melee, Ranged, and Magic. So I'm going to start with Melee, and I'm going to give everyone some general points and tips on how to defeat Duke Fishron, such as general strategies, where to fight him, what kind of arena you need, and generally useful things about how to do it. And so, right now, I have a bunch of really good stuff that comes from after Duke Fishron, but I will use stuff that you can all get before Duke Fishron. So, if you are on the PC version, you should probably want to wear beetle armor for this fight. I'm on the mobile version, and I don't have a set of beetle armor, so I'm using my dragon set, my set of dragon armor. It provides a reasonable amount of defense and damage and melee speed, but it provides a lot of extra movement speed, which can be pretty helpful in these cases, because since Fishron is really fast. Next, there are going to be 3 main accessories that you're going to need a lot. You're going to need some sort of wings. I've got Fishron wings because I've already beat him, but other wings would work too, like such as spooky wings. Any other wings that you like can get you to fly around fast. We can help you out. Next, you're going to want something that will prevent you from being knocked around. So for that, I'd recommend an Ankh shield, an obsidian shield, or a cobalt shield, because those are your only options, really. Maybe a paladin shield. But these will prevent you from being knocked around. Next, you're also going to need lightning boots, because Fishron is really fast, and when you're on your platforms, you're going to want to be able to stay away from him. The other 2 accessories are open to your choice. These accessories are gonna be either for any sort of playstyle that you want. So if you want any more damage, you can use other accessories. If you want critical strike, you can use those. If you want speed, you can use different ones. If you want defense, you can use different ones. It's really up to you. I went with a Destroyer emblem and the Celestial Stone because they're great all-around accessories and will really bump up your DPS. And the Celestial Stone is just so helpful with all of its different buffs, and it's really a great accessory. And so those are the 2 that I would recommend. As for weapons, so you can see in my inventory that I have a lot of really good weapons. Some even come from defeating Duke Fishron and afterwards. So the Flairon would be the best weapon against him, but you get that from defeating him. So I'm going to create a simple guide that you can do with weapons that you get before that. So the 4 weapons that I would recommend are the Terrorblade, the Vampire Knives, the Scourge of the Corruptor, and the Paladin's Hammer, based on their speed and their projectiles and their range. If you get what I mean, they're kind of a ranged melee, and so you can stay pretty far away from him and still deal good damage. But you're going to need the Vampire Knives for sure, just because of their amazing lifesteal. It's really going to be a hard fight without them. And as always, you're going to want a stack of potions, just in case you need them. And so, now we can probably come close to moving on to our actual fight. So, the Scourge of the Corruptor will be very fast and do a lot of good damage to him. The Paladin's Hammer can pierce through his projectile attacks, and so you can still do some more damage to the boss. And the Terrorblade is a great all-around weapon, and so I'd consider those. So, those are the only 4 weapons that I would really need for this fight, but mostly Vampire Knives. Okay, so now we're about to move on to our boss fighting. So, the way you're going to need to summon him is you're going to need any fishing rod at all, of your choice. It can be a wooden fishing rod, it can be a golden fishing rod, or anything in between. And you're going to need one truffle worm. I'll make a video about how to farm truffle worms in a second. Some of you I know have an easy time farming it. Other people I know have a very difficult job finding them. I'll make a guide. And so I've built a little arena out of platforms, so they're going to span my whole ocean, and I have something to say about that. On the oceans, try to pick the ocean that is the biggest in your world. So I actually have 2 worlds, and so I went to my old one just so I could use this enormous ocean, and I built a very, very simple arena on it, just 2 platform layers. Those of you who have the patience and time to build an arena involving asphalt, which you make from gel and stone, that is pretty good. But I didn't, so oh well. But you can still do it without. So okay, so we're about to summon the boss. You have to put your little truffle worm in the water, and you're gonna wait for it to start bobbing up and down, and as soon as you do that, you can tap, and then you can switch to one of your weapons that you choose. So I'm gonna be on the vampire knives for most of this fight, simply because Fishron does a lot of damage. And so if you've noticed that I've built an arena by the sea, and you've seen other YouTubers build an arena in a different place, here's what I have to say about that. I'm not sure that it actually makes a difference, but I've heard, and I believe that it's true, that Duke Fishron will enrage when you leave the ocean. His attacks will do much more damage, and it'll be generally very, very difficult for you, as his damage and defense will increase by double. So, I'm not sure about that, but I think it's true for me, because the first 2 times I tried Duke Fishron, he slaughtered me. I didn't even get to his second phase. And so, speaking of his phases, the first phase is pretty easy, as long as you can generally get some lifesteal or get some health back. It's a good opportunity to do damage to him, but then you see, when he goes into his second phase, he's going to move a lot faster, and his attacks are going to be a lot more, vicious. They're going to be a lot faster. He'll start shooting these enormous Cthulhu-nado things, and they'll fire sharks at you. And if you're not careful, those sharks can do a bunch of damage. And even after the fight, they can do a lot of damage. And there's going to be a lot of them, so make sure you have enough space to maneuver around them. But generally, as long as you have a good amount of lifesteal, you'll probably be fine. Which is why I highly recommend the melee and the mage class. So as you can see, he's very nearly dead. I spent almost my entire time on the vampire knives, and generally we haven't lost much health at all. Not any, pretty much. Not too much. Okay, and so you see, he's defeated. For that. And so, that's just, it's a pretty interesting boss fight. It's very fun. It was a real challenge, and I really enjoyed fighting Duke Fishron for the first time. And the loot that he drops is really great. He can drop, the melee weapon that he drops is called the Flayron, which I have. The 2 magic weapons that he drops are the Bubble Gun and the Razor Blade Typhoon, which are both great weapons. And the bow that he drops is the Tsunami, and the summoner weapon that he drops is the Tempest Staff. And it's pretty cool. Duke Fishron is a great boss with a lot of loot, and perhaps the best loot of all is his wings. They fly higher and faster than any other wings in the game, and okay, and now for the magic version. This class setup is probably the class setup that I would recommend the most, simply because it provides the most lifesteal. So, the armor that I will be using for this fight is the Spectre armor because of all the health that it gives back and all the boosts. The accessories I will use was the Celestial Cuffs, Fishron Wings, Celestial Stone, Lightning Boots, and Ankh Shield. The Celestial Cuffs will give you mana back, and the Ankh Shield will prevent you from being knocked around. The wings and the boots will help you move faster to evade Fishron, and the Celestial Stone is a great all-around accessory that'll help you with everything in this fight. So, the weapons that I will be using for this fight are the Bat Scepter and the Ichor Shower. The Ichor Shower is just a secondary weapon, even though I'm going to use it first. So, the Ichor Shower will lower his defense, and so the bats will do more damage, and you can heal yourself more. And so, once you hit him with the Ichor, go straight to your Bat Scepter and start hitting him. And I picked the Bat Scepter because it's a great weapon that can home. It does a good amount of damage. It's perfect for this kind of fight, and you can still get it without too much difficulty. And I will be making a tutorial on the Pumpkin Moon soon, so people can figure out how to get far enough in the Pumpkin Moon to get a Bat Scepter. And once they can do that, they'll be perfectly set. And so, as you can see, I'm doing a lot of damage to Fishron. This is probably the fastest, and I'd like to say most effective method against Fishron. I personally, the first time I fought him, I used magic as well. And so this is probably my recommended method, even though people with melee who have the vampire knives can use that too. One thing to note, Fishron will enrage when you leave the ocean, which is why I built my arena on the ocean, and when he enrages, you'll die pretty fast if you can't move really fast. So I just tried to make it easier on myself. And so here you see I killed him. I got a bunch of loot, and it's a really cool boss, I've got to say, so I'm going to review my gear one more time for you guys. Spectre Armor, Celestial Cuffs to give you back mana, Fishron Wings to fly. You don't need Fishron Wings, you can use any type of wings that you want, and then just the other accessories for... Now for the ranged setup. I've got to say that this setup is not recommended just because you can't get any health steal. And so, as you'll see in this fight, I got down to 1 health. And so, the weapon I'm using is the Venus Magnum. And so the Venus Magnum is a drop from Plantera. It's insanely fast, and it'll do for me about 66 damage, I think. So it's pretty good, but you can't get health steal from it. I'm using Chlorophyte bullets simply because I'm really bad at aiming, and so they can help me out a little bit. And so, the range setup would be a lot better with weapons you can get later, like after Duke Fishron. For example, his Tsunami would have ripped through him. The Snowman Cannon probably defeat him in about 30 seconds. But a lot of the ranged weapons that you find before defeating Duke Fishron just don't really get the job done. And I would highly, highly, highly recommend the magic or the melee method, simply because that's just what works best because of the lifesteal. And so, he's pretty nearly dead. There we go. And so I got a bunch of badly needed health.